Are you seeking guidance on your spiritual journey? Need help with a vexing problem? Missing a loved one and looking for answers? Look no further than Psychic Insights, a small trusted psychic service offering mediums, psychics, and spiritual coaching. This service is managed by Hollis Taylor, a gifted psychic medium, astrologer, and a compassionate coach. We are dedicated to helping you navigate your spiritual awakening. At Psychic Insights, we provide medium readings and psychic insight to help you plan for tomorrow and make choices for today. Find the support you need, compassionate grief coaching, and astrological insights to help you spiritually grow and transform. Our professional services include well-managed schedules, recorded sessions, and reliable psychic mediums ready to facilitate your transformational experience. Discover more at psychicinsights.life.
Boy, I am having so much fun today. Welcome, everybody. How are we? Welcome. Hi, Sarah. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. My cat that never comes up here is bothering me. Welcome, everybody. We have a bunch of people here. We have JR. I saw JR right off the bat, and Dawn Lydia. Hello from Wisconsin. And she says, thank you for sharing your gifts with us and attending tonight. Welcome so much.
Thank you, Dawn.
Hi,
Joette.
Hi, Joette. From Philly. I have family by there. And Michelle Brown. Hello. Hi, Brandy. Welcome.
Hello,
my
Brandy.
Cat. And Miss Angie is here.
Hello,
welcome.
Angie.
Oh, you're in Ohio? That's where I had all my kids, was Ohio. Amanda, you're so welcome. Thanks for holding these events. I love watching, hoping someday my people come through. Just keep being open to receive, and they will. If they're not shy, sometimes they're shy.
Right.
Hi, Samantha. Hi, Miss Emily and Mandy. Oh, we got a lot. Carlo and Wade, welcome. No, I do not speak French. Parlez-vous français? That's about as much French as I speak. We had a French foreign exchange student, a couple, when I was in high school. We had the first one. She was really weird. They were like super rich from cons, and she ironed her underwear. She lasted like a week. So yeah, I don't speak French. That was all I knew how to speak. Welcome, Ashley. Welcome, Brandy. And we have Nikki here. Dawn, Lydia, Samantha, Jonah.
Oh, hi, Jonah.
Oh, hi, Jonah. Hi, Jonah. I love that. Let me check over on Facebook, see who's over on Facebook. And my comments on Facebook are very delayed, so if I don't see you right away, please be patient. And Sarah is doing spirit-led readings tonight, which means that she drops in and connects. And the spirits that come forward, she will describe them, give you messages from them. My Facebook's still trying to load. And all we ask, honestly, is just give her, when she is describing somebody or giving you information, if it matches somebody that one of your loved ones, just let her know and give her validations, because then she knows it's kind of like playing charades. Honestly, we don't know exactly what we're seeing until you tell us. Like, they could be showing us their personality or like a memory or something like that. And Sarah gets a lot of details. Okay, here we go. We have Makwa, Donna Solis, Lynette Grinnell are all over on Facebook. And Carrie, welcome.
Yes,
welcome. Carrie says she needed the calmness of you guys tonight. I've had a rough day. Oh, me too, sweetheart. Just a busy day trying to get stuff done and kind of emotional day. I wonder what I I miss checking in with Hollis because I wonder what's going on with the planets. Do you know?
No, unfortunately for me, astrology is not my strong suit.
Me either.
You
Not
want to
at
know
all.
something
So,
funny? Little tidbit about me is as a child, I was, and it's ironic that I'm doing this now, but I was terrified of dying. And
uh-huh.
for some reason, I don't know what the connection is for me and astrology, but even when I was a child in school learning about space, it would trigger me. And I just, you know how, like, remember in high school when all the other girls are like learning their astrology charts? And
Yeah.
I know I'm a Gemini, but that wasn't me. I wanted nothing to do with it. But
Huh. D-
here now, I'm interested, but it's like I can't absorb the information.
I can't absorb it either. And that's funny because I was the same way with Taro. I It freaked me out. It gave me almost like panic attacks. Like I didn't like it. I thought it was evil. I don't know. There was something about it. And do you know that's where my most healing came from is when I learned no crap. That's where all of my messages, that's where I found out a lot of stuff. So I bet you, honestly, I bet you have some past life space something trauma or something.
Could be.
Something. But yeah, and also they say there was something too I just watched about that means that you're more right brained. Hollis is more left brained. There's something to do with our gifts too, with the how we use like the yeah. There's something to do with like the new moon is in Gemini. That's why I'm all messed up. I'm Gemini rising too,
I'm
and Saturn in Aries. I was also terrified of death before. I used to have repetitive death dreams. When I was 18, I would see myself like at my funeral in a coffin and I would walk up to it and then I would wake up. I had that dream every night for like 3 years and then I was in a real bad car accident, but I didn't die at 18. And I never had it after that again. Never.
that is honestly, it blows my mind when you say that because I had a similar experience, but I want to say between the ages of 10 to 15. I would have the reoccurring dream where I was laying in a coffin, but I was
Yeah.
like above myself and I was watching myself, how the best way I can put it, return to the earth, if you get what I mean. So, yeah, that's a very.
Frozen.
Oh,
There we
you're
go.
frozen.
There we go. Okay. So you were watching, were you above?
Yes. So I was above myself and I knew that the coffin lid was above me, but I would dream that I was watching myself and I was basically seeing myself in the best gentle way I can put it, return to the earth. If you understand what I'm getting at,
Right.
it
Right.
was terrifying.
Wow. See, I would see myself all in white, like I was dressed all in white, like a cowboy white, like with a western shirt and stuff. And then I would walk up to me, and as soon as I would look in, is when I would wake up every time.
Oh, wow. It's amazing what our dreams and our
Hold on, I got a troll. Hold on. There we go. Look at that. I did it. We had a troll, and I did it like that.
Oh,
Good
that's
job.
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, they were saying about third world hunger and stuff. Yes. And Lynette said, thank you, Sarah and Jonah, for what you're doing. Your messages are always so beautiful. So I'm not sure from what I've learned from Hollis, that I have learned that we do have exit points in our life. And so sometimes I think maybe that was like a warning or something, because I was in a severe accident at 18. Like, so I wonder if they're warnings.
Yeah, that could definitely be it. Actually, early
Yeah.
on in my mediumship development, every time I meditated, I would see, it looked like a highway, and I would see these big semis coming, and I could see myself as if I was driving, and then I would like see the like almost like a head-on collision, but it didn't happen. But I kept on having these dreams, having these visions in my meditation. And then one day when I was going to pick up my spouse from his work site, I was driving on the highway, and I don't know what, if it was my son telling me or just my guides, but I had this instinct to slow down. And as I started to slow down, my front tire on my driver's side blew. And I remember my spouse he was like, how do you know to slow down? I said, I don't know. Something told me.
I love that.
So we're never alone. We're never alone. If it's not our loved ones, our guides, just
your guides, your guardians, your angels. So definitely trust those. And if you're delayed, like this is something else really important. If you're delayed from home, and like I've always been told, like if you have to run back and grab your keys or you forgot your wallet or something like that, there's always a reason for that. There's always a reason. So don't try to get so rushed. Anyway, I'm going to let you to it. I'm here if you need me. Welcome everybody.
Hello, everyone. So thank you again for joining us tonight, joining me, joining my son. I cannot say enough how appreciative I am of your kindness, your support. Just you showing up here is such a great support for me. I always like to tell how I started my mediumship journey, so I'm going to start off that way. As a child, I was able to hear spirit, but they kind of sounded more like whispered conversations. Sometimes I would see them, but it was really weird. And I'm starting to wonder if maybe they were my guides, because they were the one gentleman. He literally looked like he was dressed in Sherlock Holmes outfit. And the lady he was talking to had like the Victorian outfit. But again, I was very young at this time, so I ignored him. I had ignored it. And then throughout my life, I've always been spiritual. I've always been very open-minded. And I always knew that just because our physical life is over, we still go on. There's another life in spirit. I know earlier, while me and Mama Cole were talking, that I said I was terrified of dying. And I was for years and years and years. And then once my son passed, I was scared to live. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people here that can relate to that. And, I just want to say it's okay to not be okay. It's okay if some days you just feel like you can't get out of bed. On those days, if you can, stay in bed. Honor your feelings. Be gentle with yourself. And definitely, it's okay to laugh. The reason why I say this, and it's so important, is because a lot of us, especially after our loved ones pass, I know I did once my son passed, I was so scared to laugh, to smile, because I didn't want him to think that I was okay with him not being here physically anymore. And I started to learn slowly that just because I laugh, or if I smile, or I have a good day, does not mean that I don't love him any less, or that I'm okay going on. It's a process. So I always tell everyone, be gentle with yourself. One day at a time, right? And just know that they're always with you. They love you so much. And they are going on in spirit. From what I've been shown, they're very busy, a lot of times they're with us. So, anyways, November 26, 2021 is when my life and the life of my family literally just crumbled. We contracted the COVID-19 virus. I got our positive results on November 18th. We were feeling sick about the beginning of November, but it was subtle at first. And it was awful. For any of you who have gone through COVID and got the full symptoms, you know how awful it was. So it was me, my spouse, our 3 children, my son, myself, and my spouse got the symptoms very bad. My 2 daughters, they were positive, but with very, very mild symptoms. And I cannot thank my middle child. She was 18 at the time. She really stepped up. She took care of not only her older brother, but her younger sister. The kindness that she showed her older brother, it was amazing. She is literally my angel in the physical. My son's my angel in spirit. But on November 26th, I must go back the day before. My son was sitting up in bed playing on his Wii U. And I remember thinking, finally, he's getting better. I'm starting to feel a little bit better. We can move on from this. I remember that night I went to go look in on him because I was going to say goodnight to him. And I realized he was sleeping. And I didn't want to wake him because I knew how hard it was to get a decent sleep. But I had this overwhelming urge to go and just lay down beside him and cuddle him. But he was 20 and he probably would have been like, "What are you doing?" So I didn't. That's one thing that I regret. The next day I slept in. And it was my daughter who came and got me. And she said, "Mom, you have to come." And I remember going in his room and the look on his face as he struggled to breathe. He was trying to tell us about a dream he had. I remember bits of it. He said that things weren't what they seemed and it was like the Matrix. But I kept telling him, "Baby, just, tell me after. I don't want to say hold your breath, but he was having such a hard time breathing." I drove him to the hospital because we were just a few blocks away, and I'll never forget the look on his face, the way he was looking out the window. He was so calm, so brave. I do truly feel that my son knew that something was wrong, that this was his last car ride. I was in denial. I took him to the hospital. His oxygen level was down to 30. His heart rate was 60 over 30, or it was very, very low. The last thing my son said to me, because they put an oxygen mask on him and they wouldn't let me go into the trauma room with him because I was a day short of being out of quarantine, which, again, I regret not fighting to go with him, but our hospital had a very strict, if you make a fuss, you're out, and I was not leaving him. But I remember sitting in this little room, and 5 minutes after, I heard code blue. I knew what that meant, but I was in denial, and I was like, "Nope, it's not him." But then the nurse came and said his heart stopped, but they got it back. It would stop 3 more times before they got him to ICU. They sent me home at first, and as soon as I got home, I screamed in my car. I came inside. I called the hospital, and they said that they were getting him stable. I knew what that meant, but again, denial. So I just thought, oh, they're fluffing his pillows. I remember in that moment, I sat there and, as a mother, I always thought I could protect my kids from anything, everything. I remember sitting and threatening death itself. I said, don't you dare come for my baby. You're not allowed. Damn, was I humbled that night. We were able to go back to the hospital because a nurse, which I'm ever grateful, and if I ever find out her name, I would send her everything. But she advocated for us to come there because they weren't going to let us. And I watched as 7 nurses and the doctor who was working on his case that night performed emergency CPR. I remember begging and pleading everyone. The one thing my son always wanted was a Nintendo Switch. And I remember at one point saying through the glass, if you come back, if you stay, I'll get it for you. I'll go out right now. And for a split second, his heart started. For a second, I feel that was his way of saying, I hear you, Mom, and his way of saying goodbye. Anyway, sorry, tonight my intro is a little bit longer, and I apologize, but sometimes I feel it's healing to get this out and to share. Anyways, afterwards, we got to see him. I told him to come back to me. That night, as me and my daughters were sitting on the couch, I remember looking down the hall and his bedroom door was open and I was going to go shut it. And his light was off and all of a sudden it turned on. And for a split second, I thought, oh, it was all a dream. Then it shut it off. And then I said, Jonah, and it turned on again. So that was the first time my son acknowledged that he was here. And it took me about a week to realize that I was not ready to say goodbye, that I was damned and determined to find a way to connect with him. I went to the medium fair. I found this amazing group, Mediumship, Communicating with the Dead, Grief, and Loss. I also found Hollis Taylor. And I had the discovery meeting with them. And I remember asking them, do you think I could do this? And I was waiting for the, no, you can't unless you were born with it. I had someone say that to me. But instead, Hollis said, yeah, why not? They taught me to trust in myself, to believe in what I'm receiving, and to let go of any and all skeptical thoughts. And at first I thought, oh, that should be easy because I've always been spiritual. But like a lot of us, when we first go to a reading, we want to hear something so specific. Sometimes we'll get that, sometimes we don't. I remember getting readings from some of the apprentices, and I have to give huge shout out to Apprentice because without them taking the chance, but they would be giving me his description, memories. And I was like, but then I was so focused on, I wanted to know the nickname I gave him that I didn't hear the message. And that's one thing that I feel that it's great to bring up right now is when you're getting a reading, just trust, let the energy flow. And I know that some of us just need that one thing. But I say, if you want to have enjoyable reading, and that is just to let go of that skeptical. It's not serving you. It's not. I know it's hard, but just trust in yourself and trust in your loved one. And, along the way, I met so many other mediums and they become close friends. And support. And even everyone here in this group tonight is a wonderful support. So with that, I will be doing spirit-led readings, which means whichever spirit, I like to say person in the spiritual world, would like to come forward. I usually I can get descriptions of how they look. A lot of times it's their personality. Your job, honestly, is just to listen, and at any point, if anything sounds like your person, please speak up, and I will see where I'm guided to. And don't be discouraged if your loved one doesn't show up tonight. They are around you. They did not leave you or forget about you, just how you don't forget about them. Sometimes they're just shy. I know my son doesn't really like coming through live readings that often. But just be patient and trust. And thank you, everyone. I'll just ask for everyone's permission to work with your energy and that of your loved ones. Let's begin. So I do have a younger woman stepping forward. She looks to be in her, I want to say, mid-20s. She's kind of popped in before my live, so I'm just going to describe how she's presenting herself to me. She's very pretty, thin build, petite features. She has about shoulder-length hair. It's almost like a honey brown, and by that I mean that it looks like she has natural highlights. The way her hair is, it looks like she has some layers that are kind of like feathered out, and then bangs that kind of swoop to the side. She's showing me her in jean shorts, kind of like cutoff style. I see like near the leg bottom part, sorry, it's a little bit frayed. And she's wearing an olive colored tank top. Her eyes are a deep brown and her nose is narrow. She almost has like a little bit of freckling, not overwhelming of freckles, but you would kind of have to go closer to see them. She has such a beautiful smile. Like when she smiles, her whole face lights up. Her personality that I'm receiving is very bubbly, she almost has like this like hypnotic hippie vibe, you know, go with the flow. She's showing me her wearing flip-flops. I'm just gonna see. And you know, the more I look at her, like to me, she looked to be in her mid-20s, but I'm starting to feel that she might be a little bit older, but looks younger for her age, because when she was smiling, I saw the little like smile lines that we get with age. She's just really down to earth type vibe that I'm getting from her. Would anybody be able to resonate with her? She's also showing me, it looks like she has a clamshell, and I see her having like, I'll just show you my sage stick. I need to get a new one. So she has one like this. It's a little bit, I believe she has white sage. So Carrie says, is her name Kathy? Carrie, I could ask. I don't often get names, but what about her can you resonate with? And can anyone else recognize this lovely lady? Again, when I describe her hair, it reminds me very like Farrah Fawcett. So Angie Wolf says, maybe my friend Tracy. Angie, so does your friend Tracy kind of have that like honey brown hair? when I say honey brown, I describe it as like a lighter brown, but with almost natural highlights to it. And JR says, might be my friend Tiffany. Okay, JR, if you got, I'm just going to do a recap. And then if you can tell me what resonates with you. So Megan Howard says, how tall was she? Do you know? Okay. I forgot to describe her height. Usually I describe. So I would put her, she wasn't that tall. I'm 5'1", and if I were standing next to her, I would maybe put her about 5'3", 5'4". Thin build, petite features, higher cheekbones. And she has, so do a little recap. Sorry. Oh. So Carrie says, it all sounds like my friend. And you said your friend's Kathy. I'm just going to ask her. Is your name Kathy? So when I asked her, would you understand her making like a face like this? Like not as, I don't get it as like sarcastic, but kind of like maybe like how I said her personality was kind of like bubbly, down to earth with a hippie vibe. She was showing me, it looks like a big clamshell and then with the stage. So I do feel she was like spiritual. I'm just going to do a recap of how she looks. I would put her between like 5'3" and 4, thin build, petite facial features, narrow nose. She has a full mouth, higher cheekbones with a little bit of freckling. Her hairstyle is, I think Farrah Fawcett, 1970s, you know, like with the feathering. Kimberly Burke, my mother-in-law loved to use sage. Okay, Kimberly, does the description of this lady sound, does it resonate with you? The way she looked to me, I would put her in her mid-20s, but when I take a closer look, I would maybe put her a little bit more closer to 40s. She just looked young. And Kimberly Burke, my mother-in-law always wears flip-flops. So, and I'm just going to do a quick question for anyone else. What can anyone else resonate with? So Kimberly Burke, my mother-in-law's name is Norma.
Okay. We also have.
Sorry, you scared me.
People, I'm so sorry. There's also people asking, like, hold on. I got this on your face. I don't want that on your face. There we go. Megan Howard, if you see eye color, and then Angie saying that it does sound like her friend Tracy.
Okay. So earlier I did see her eye color was like a deep brown. I'm just going to ask her if she could show me any more little details. So she was also showing me, I do feel this might have been her home. It's a smaller house. It on the outside, it kind of looks like that white clapboard siding. I don't know if that's like a thing, but that's what I heard. Oops, sorry, don't mean be moving around. In the front door, she has like a wooden railing and wooden steps that you would go down. I do believe that this house was located in I want to say the country, but I see a bunch of like spruce trees. JR, sounds like Tiffany, everything but the hairstyle. Okay. JR, could you take the house that I'm describing? And I see if you were to go down, there's like a little path. And if you follow it, there's like, it looks like there's a lake. I do feel that she was, again, very spiritual. And again, for anyone else who can take this house, because I do feel it's another big clue to her. She's also showing me, so she was showing me she changed her style. I see like more jeans, not skinny jeans, but a more, not baggy jeans either. And she was showing me her wearing, it looked like a navy t-shirt and then like one of those like longer sweaters. And then the scenery around her, it's kind of like changing. I see like the leaves on some of the trees because there's spruce, but there's other trees that are, I feel this is more into fall. And JR, maybe a family member's house. Okay, I'm just going to see who I can feel more drawn to. And Kimberly, when I read the name Norma, I don't know why, but the name Jean also popped up. Does that have any significance? It was strange because I read Norma and then all of a sudden, and I'm not too sure if there's referring to Jean as the name or the clothing. So Debbie Hardy, does she tell you how she passed? You tell me how you passed or show me. So from what I'm feeling from her, it's it almost feels like my heart is racing and then it's like my chest keeps getting tighter and just feeling really dizzy and nauseous. I do feel that her passing, it was sudden. I want to say more towards like a heart attack or something that, so I was just feeling like how she's making me feel. It's like I was feeling fine. And then all of a sudden my heart, like it felt like it was racing. And then it was like it clamped up. I felt it was harder to catch my breath. I do feel that her passing was very, very, very sudden. I do feel that it might have been an underlying heart condition that she might not have been aware of. Would anybody, I know that there has been a few people that somewhat recognize. So Angie Wolf said Tracy OD. So Lisa McGovern says, yes, it does sound like Tracy's Angie. Okay. Heather says, definitely Tracy. Would you ladies be able to take like where she was showing me where she lived? Because I do feel that this is a big part of who she was, that I do feel that she did love being, she felt more at home, say in like a country wood setting or than say in the hustle and bustle of the city is what I'm really feeling from her. And this with the spirituality where she shows me her sage, I keep on hearing also like water, and I do feel it was like kind of from that lake. I feel that that was one of her places that she would like to go and meditate. Does this sound like Tracy? So Angie says, yes, she lived in Maryland in the country. Is your name Tracy? So I do feel that I am drawn more to Angie. So the first thing that I hear from her is, "Hey girl." She says that, "I know you're worried about me, but I'm doing fine." She says, so Angie says, "We often went to psychics." Okay, maybe that's where she was showing me the spiritual, but I do feel that she liked to do at one point in her life, that was her healing. She was showing me her holding a coffee mug, and she was like holding it up as if to cheers you. She was saying that she's at peace. She says that she hasn't felt this much peace since being in the physical world. She said that my life was beautiful. There was some dark times, she says, but that's life. She says you have to take the good with the bad and the bad with the good. It's what you make of your life that counts. She was just saying that don't hold on to regrets because you made the choice in the beginning, and if that's what your heart desired, that's what you felt was need to be. She says there's no point in regrets, basically, is what she's saying. She says that she wants you to know just exactly how much she cherished your friendship and the support that you offered her and gave her. She says, even though I didn't always listen to your suggestions, she goes, I want you to know that they didn't fall on deaf ears. She says that I want you to know that I'm good, I'm fine. Angie says, at the end it was bad, but we had a good time in life. Would you understand her telling me Thelma and Louise? She was showing me that old movie. I feel that like what she means by this was you and her were kind of, I just keep thinking like hearing ride or die. She says that I know that you have like a lot of questions about what you could have did more so. And she says, hun, she says, it was my life and my decision. She says, I don't want you to hold on to any regret. Just know that I love you. I'm so grateful that our paths crossed in life and they'll cross again. She says, I just want you to live the most beautiful life that you can. She says, just knowing that I am there with you and my family. She says, but the main thing is just to know that I am at peace and I have shed the things that were weighing me down. She says, now go live your beautiful life. She was blowing kisses at you. I just want to thank her, Tracy, for coming through. And thank you, Angie, for being here tonight. Okay, I'm going to see who else would like to step forward. So Angie says, yes, for sure, Thelma and Louise. You two knew each other for many, many years is what I'm feeling. And she says, before she goes, she says, don't forget about all the good times. She says, let go of the bad times. She says, don't dwell on them. She says, honey, I let go of them too. Just dwell on the good times we had. Angie says, thank you so much. I needed to hear from her. You're welcome, Angie, and thank you for joining us tonight. And thank you, Tracy, for stepping forward. I appreciate you so much. Megan Howard said, beautiful. Thank you, Megan. Okay. So I do have an older gentleman stepping forward. He's quite tall. I would put, mind you, I'm 5'1", so everyone's quite tall. I do feel that the thing that screams from him before I even get his image is dad. I do feel that he is somebody's dad that's here tonight. He's taller. I would put him maybe 5, at the short end, 5'11", at the taller end, 6 foot. So kind of, he's got broader shoulders. How he's showing me, so he shows me in 2 outfits. I do feel that he might have been more of a businessman in life, but on his off time, he liked to relax. His job that he was at, I feel he would have to wear like more dress pants and the white collared shirt. He's also showing me that it's funny, the dress shirt, he's showing me like white. And then, so I feel that the dress shirt was versatile, that it didn't have to be white. But I do feel that the job he worked in required him to wear a suit. In his off time, he's showing me he's happy in t-shirts, jeans, or t-shirts and sweatpants. I see him where he's going a little bit bald on top, or his hair was thinning. He has what kind of a same kind of a brown my hair is, and I see it's like more on the side. I do feel that when his hair is thinning on top, that he might have tried to overcomb it. He's laughing. He says that his wife hated the overcomb, but he was just holding on. He does wear glasses. They are gold wireframe. So he's a little bit on the heavier set side. He has an amazing sense of humor, because when I was saying that, he was like patting his belly and he goes, "It just means I've lived a good life." From what he is making me feel is that he was a very involved husband and father. Family life was very important to him. It's funny because as he brings me back, I do feel that he worked in sales. I was seeing like, it almost looked like a showroom with cars. And then he was showing me at home, like he was Mr. Fix-It at home as well. I like to be in his backyard, like to barbecue. I'm not too sure if in his backyard, if you guys had like a pool, or if it like an actual pool, or if it was just more like I'm trying to see it. I just see like kids running around in like swimsuits, but I do feel that his children now are older. I was seeing a young girl and a boy. I do feel that the girl might have been the middle child, and there was 2 brothers, an older and a younger. But as he was, when I was like mentioning his kids, he kept on like pointing up, and that's always been an indicator that further age-wise that they're older. Would anybody be able to recognize this gentleman? So one thing he's telling me, and he says, just trust me, he says, they'll know who I am. So one of his, besides family and that, one of his big things was he had a love of food. He's showing me him cooking food, and he was adventurous, but he's also showing that he loved taking his family to like buffets. I also see him cooking in like his own kitchen. I do believe that he was showing me his wife. She's petite, about shoulder length hair. Her hair is a little bit lighter, like a sandy blonde, and both of them wear glasses. It was funny because the scenery he was showing me when he was cooking, it was like his wife was there, but she was like kind of like he's saying that she always used to say that I was making a mess. So Samantha says, sounds like my dad, but the heavy set and hair thinning, not fix it, but def barbecue outside. Loved food. So I'm one and Samantha. Okay, I do feel Sam because I do recognize this gentleman that I do feel it is your dad. He did feel very, very familiar to me. So would you understand him winking and giving you thumbs up and saying, that's my girl, as in like he knew that you would recognize him. He was just saying, he goes, hi, baby. He goes, I hope that. So have you had this feeling like of him hugging you? Because he was mentioning that he hopes that you've been feeling his hugs. He was saying that because I know that we actually have an upcoming reading, but he said that he was too excited that he wanted to come. He didn't want to wait. He didn't want to wait to talk to you. He was just saying that she needed to hear from me earlier. Samantha, he was just saying, I know that right now things have been, would you understand when he says up in the air, like your dad, I love his personality because he has this like calming nature, but like funny because, and would you understand when things were a little bit more serious, he would try to be lighthearted about it because when he was saying up in the air, he was like kind of showing me as if he was like juggling, but I don't feel that he juggled unless he did. And if he did, that's cool. He was just saying for you to, he says, just trust in yourself. So Samantha said, sounds like him. He was just saying, trust in yourself. He was saying, sometimes you need to just like plug your ears because what he's making me feel is like a lot of other people's opinion on what decision you should make. He said, Sam, he says, you're like me and you know that you won't be happy if the decisions you make weren't 100% your own. He says, I'm always there with you. He says, I want you to know that you have always made me so proud. He was showing me when you were a baby and he was holding you for the first time. Your one brother, does he have lighter, like almost blondish, sandy blonde hair, more like your mom? Your dad was just showing me when you were born, and I see your mom like laying in the hospital bed, and he was sitting there, and I just hear, she's so tiny. And then I see an older boy. He looked to be about maybe 4 or 5, and just kind of like looking over at you. Your dad was just saying that family is everything, but also to be your own person. Okay, Samantha says no dark brown. Okay. Sometimes I get little details mixed up, but that's okay. the one thing that he just wants you to know, and I think it's just the recurring what I've been saying, is to trust in yourself. He says, no matter what the decision that you decide on, he says, just know that I'm proud of you. He says that you are amazing. He says, my whole family is amazing, and I just need them to know that I'm always there with them. Oh, thank you, Samantha. So Samantha says that all sounds exactly on point, though. Thank you very much. Just know that whatever is going on in your life right now, as your dad keeps saying, is to just trust in your instincts. And even though he says, would you understand him saying that you kind of have he says you have a huge heart, like a very caring personality, that sometimes it may be hard for you to tell other people, like, thank you for your opinion, but no, I need to figure this out. So Samantha says, always wanted me to be my own person. Thank you. Well, he's still advocating for you to be your own person. He says, don't be afraid to tell people no, that thank you for their opinion. But no, that's what he keeps saying. He says, I'm always there. And he says, it's so cute because he shows me him kind of like waving a little like flag. I'm trying to see this flag because as he's like moving it like that, I just see color and it looks almost like a maroon color. So I don't know if there was like a specific meaning to this, but I'm getting that he's saying that he's been your cheerleader, that no matter what, he will always be there. And those moments, especially when you feel as if he's hugging you, that is him. I do feel too, either you or more your mom, do you guys have been getting like almost like whiffs of his cologne? Or he says aftershave? It's, I'm just going to see if I can kind of describe what I'm smelling here. It almost smells like kind of like an earthy, like with warm tones. Samantha says, always my cheerleader. And he says, of course. He says, I'll always be there for you. You're my baby girl. The cologne that I was smelling, it has like these earthy tones, and it reminds me of this one that I smelled at Bath and Body Works. It's like some kind of like a bourbony with vanilla and just really warm tones to it. So that's the smell that I was kind of getting from him. So he is saying that not only where he's trying to like manifest so you can feel when he like hugs you, but also like with the sensory, like the smells. My thing to say to you and your family is to always trust in what the signs that he is giving you. And I already feel that you do, and your family do trust it. I know that you and your mom are very open. He says that especially you and your mother are such the glue that holds the family together, and he couldn't be prouder of both of you and all of his family. I do feel that where your brothers might be a little bit more on the skeptical side, he goes, but he said, don't worry, they'll come around. I just want to thank you for being here tonight, Samantha, and thank you again for your lovely father. He's teasing me because he's like, just admit it, you didn't recognize me right away. And I had a feeling, but I was like, I'm going to just describe him just in case. So thank you both.
Oh, I love that. That was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I've had a few do that to me recently too, where I wasn't sure it was them. Like, I've checked in before the reading and I'm getting the stuff and I'm like, wait a minute. I've read for you before. Like you don't always recognize the name.
Right. I often get that too, but I during my lives I like to just put it out there first,
Yeah.
just in case.
Yeah, because you did have. I do want to point out because Kimberly Burke is so desperately. She was on the other page, and she did have. I just want to send her my love and let her know that your loved ones are still close, sweetheart.
Kimberly, that was her
Hi,
mother-in-law.
Miss Melissa. Yeah, I think it was her mother-in-law and then the dad. And what's really cool is when you were doing Samantha's dad, um, just out of the blue, I don't hear from my own father very often at all. My dad lives in Mexico and I hear from him once in a great while. And he just messaged that he'd had cataract surgery. So I just get a picture of him like this. So I was like, yep, it is a dad. It's her. Like it was like exactly when you were saying Samantha's dad. So it was almost like a confirmation. So I just want Kimberly to know that they're definitely around you, sweetheart. And she's saying that she hasn't felt signs for 2 years.
You know, sometimes their signs are so subtle, and a lot of times, and my son has been this is 3.5 years now, and even myself, I don't get the signs as much as I used to. At least that's what I think. But then it's just my grief.
I really have learned that's a lot to do with it because it's the vibration and the frequency.
Right.
So that's when they do send like subtle like colors. Like you'll see a whole bunch of red. Like right now, one of the people that I work with, it's red, and I see freaking red everywhere. And I see them like I know that's a certain person. Or you'll see certain birds or feathers. So you may not be or like Sarah was saying, the scent. You know, it might be something like that.
I do have another gentleman stepping forward, though. Are
Okay.
you still good?
Yeah, just for yeah.
So, how he's presenting himself to me, he's taller. I would put him about between 6 foot and 6'2". I would put him age-wise, maybe mid-50s. His hair is shorter, but at times it would look a little bit shaggier. His hair is definitely a dirty blonde. He has blue eyes. I feel this gentleman spent a lot of time in the sun. His features, he's thinner build. He's got really nice cheekbones, but his face kind of looks a little bit more like a little bit hollow. So he just says, I just heard him. He goes, love. He says, it's just, I was always busy, you know? He is showing me a little bit of stubble on his face. It's interesting because when you look at his stubble on his face, it's so translucent that when the sun or light hits it, it kind of looks like silvery or gold. So I'm just going to see the way he's showing me him dressed. I see him in jeans. He's wearing like a black t-shirt. It has kind of like a little v-neck. And the jacket, it looks like one of those, I think they're called like bomber, like or puffer jackets. It's like a darker gray color, and there's like the cuffs on the arms. He's showing me him in black work boots. I feel that they're steel-toed. He's also showing me, it looks like a harbor. I see like the docks and there's like different boats. So Jessica River sounds like my friend Jeff. So Jessica, would you understand that So sorry. As soon as I was reading yours, he just had this like huge smile on his face. Um, I do. Would you understand that? I don't know if his job had something to do with Marine, like not in like the Army Marine, but like out on the ocean, or I'm just going to let him talk and try to explain a little bit. So I forgot to say, a lot of times how I receive my messages is either I'll hear them or it's like a thought, and sometimes they'll show me images, and then I have to try to piece it together. So it's like a giant game of Pictionary. I love his personality because he's so encouraging. He winks at me and he's like, oh, he goes, you're doing grand. He says, you're doing great. You're doing great. Uh, Jessica, would you be able to take his personality as just a like friendly, and I almost, it's funny because I've never like been a surfer or anything, but I kind of get that kind of attitude, like, go with the flow. I do feel that he was a very hardworking man. When I see his hands, I see like the callus. He was saying that my hands look like this so my family could have a good life. Would Jessica and would anyone else be able to recognize this gentleman? Again, when I'll just do a quick recap, I would put him between 6 foot and 6'2", darker, like dirty blonde hair. I do feel that he kept it more short, but it could get a little bit like shaggy, but still short look. His face was like a little bit more narrow. Oh no, sorry. So Jessica says spot on, but not in the military. No, that's what I was trying to explain, because like I felt Marine, but not in the military Marine, more like as if he either worked on like a fishing boat, or he might like that might have been more of his hobby, like being on a boat out in the ocean. That's what I kept on getting. So Jessica says everything else matches. So you can take his description, like how he looked and the personality. Because like, how he was showing me, like, I was seeing, what is it called? An harbor. Sorry. I was seeing like the docks with like these different boats. Some of them looked like more for leisure, and then some of them looked like those big old fishing boats with like the nets and that. And I just felt that this might have been
dear,
specific.
that, my dear, would be a marina.
Thank
You were saying,
because I was not.
You were saying marine. I live in Florida. That's a marina that you are describing.
Thank you, because that's how I was seeing it. And I was thinking, okay, if I keep saying Marine, everyone's going to think the Army. But no, he's laughing. He goes, I love his personality, because he literally said, the Army wouldn't take me even if I wanted to. He goes, and I didn't want to. He said, but then he also says, I do have love for those who went to war for us. He goes, but that just wasn't me. So Jessica says yes. So you can take the marina and everything. Would you understand him winking at you? As he winks, he goes, that's my girl. He goes, I knew you'd recognize me. Okay. So Jessica said he didn't work on boats or go on boats. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that. That's just what he was showing me. So I wasn't too sure if it might have had some significant. I'm just going to ask him if there was anything else. Would you understand, Jessica? So I just want to go back to how he looked, because I do feel that he did spend a great deal of time outside. I do feel that he was like on the go man, like barely sat down, was like one project to the next. When I look at him, the reason why I said I feel that he spent a lot of time outside is because like his skin, it looks kind of like more tanner, but like sun-kissed tan. So Jessica says winks, yes. I'm just going to ask if he has any messages for you. So the one thing that he was showing me, I was seeing, it looked like this patio, and I was seeing like a little table and then two chairs. And I was seeing him and then a woman sitting next to him and just having like these long, deep conversations. It's funny because he was showing me, it was like he was trying to show over time. So sometimes I would see like two what looks like coffee mugs. Sometimes he's showing me like a big picture of what looked like lemonade and glasses. And then sometimes he was showing me like a beer. So Jessica says that sounds like him. Would you understand him saying that he was like a great listener, and that one of his things that he loved the most was just to be able to listen to his friends and families like problems and then try to help? I do feel that he had a very big caring heart. The one thing that he says is that he does hear you. He says that he is still figuring out things on the other side. So I do feel that his passing has been more recent. He says that I want to thank her for just always being such a beautiful friend to me. That he says that you were an important part of his life, and that your friendship, he says, we've been friends for years. He says that you know him like the back of your hand as he knows you as the back of his hand. Would you understand that? So Jessica says, yes, a lot of people loved him. And would you understand like his energy? He was just always on the go. Like besides like sitting down to talk with people, because I do feel that that was his joy. But other than that, he was like on the go. And would you understand, he was showing me him being able to fix things, that I feel that he fixed things for people, not only like listening to them, but he was showing me him standing on a ladder, and it looks like he was like fixing a light fixture. And then he was like showing me him helping someone with their fence. Would you understand that? Okay, so Jessica says, we have been friends over 20 years. Yes, that's what he was making me feel, that you guys have been friends. And that's why he was saying that you knew him like the back of your hand, just as he knew you like the back of his hand. So Jessica says he worked a lot. That's what I was getting from him. Like, this man I feel like he just, for someone who was always on the go and was so busy, he just had a beautiful personality. I feel that, yeah, he could get upset and get angry, but he was more of a let it go and move on. He wants to say that you taught him that for sure. He says that he goes, she knows so much of my secrets. And he's laughing. He goes, oh, Jessica, I'm so sorry. So he just passed yesterday. When he was mentioning about you knowing his secrets, he goes, now don't be telling on me. And he was winking again. And like I said earlier, he does hear you when you talk to him. He says that he's just figuring it out here. So Jessica Riera says he fixed things at work. Yes. He was showing me him kind of putting his arms back, and he's like, I'm relaxing now. He goes, I'm relaxing and I'm healing. And he says, don't worry. He says, I'm just learning. He's like, I'm learning things here. He's like, I'll send you the signs. He says, but you'll know them. Amanda says, what a wonderful gift you have. Oh, thank you, Amanda. I appreciate that. Jessica, from what your friend tells me, you made his life more special. He says that you were one of his greatest confidants and that you never judged him. And he hopes that you know that he never judged you, that he loved you, and you will always hold a special place in his heart. He says, my life, he was saying on earth, and then he's like, oh, so my life on earth was a good life. He goes, yes, there was some regrets, but that's just life. That's a part of it. He says, but you taught me to let go of things I couldn't control. He says, you made me a better person, and I'm forever grateful of that. He's just saying, I love you, and I know that you won't forget about me, and I'll never forget about you. I just want you to know, Jessica, that he is okay. Because I do feel that was the one question that you're wondering. He says, I'm okay. He goes, I'm adaptable. He says, I got this. Don't worry. And he's winking at you again.
Oh, I love that. That's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Wow. You're so welcome. Jessica said thank you so much. That's so special.
Oh, you're so welcome, Jessica. And thank you for being here tonight. And thank everyone. If it's okay with you, Mama Cole, I do have one more.
Mm-hmm.
So the lady that is stepping forward, she's older. I would put her, I want to say 80s. She has that cute little grandma do. By that, I mean, do you remember like when, or maybe it might have just been my grandma that would put their hair in like the pink rollers, and then after when they brushed it out, it kind of looked like a little gray halo. That's how this lady shows me. She's smaller, around my height, so about 5'1", petite build. She has like those older style glasses that almost kind of look like not quite round, but like with the corners octagon. Anyways, around her glasses, so I see the gold on the frames on the side, but it kind of looks like the clear plastic. She shows me that she did have like a little chain, so when she took them off, they could just hang. the way she's showing me her dressed, I feel that she more was comfortable in like wearing like the slacks and like the blouse. Sometimes she was showing me that she was showing me that especially near her more last few months she's making me aware of is that she kind of was more just into like wearing like a nightgown in her house. She says it's a house dress, but I feel it's like a bathrobe type. That looks like that outfit is more like a dusty rose color. The house coat that she had, it looked like little white flower designs around the collar. When she shows me her hands, I do feel that she might have had arthritis in her hands because her knuckles are a little bit bigger. She has that, I call them grandma hands, like where your skin is a little bit more thinner as we age and you see more of the veins. She has a such sweet personality. She's making me aware that her family is quite large, and she was like the head of the family. She is a matriarch. She was showing me family gatherings where she says she shows me a house. How I'm seeing it is more on the inside. The kitchen, because that's where she's showing, is there's like a bigger wooden heavy table with the chairs, and I literally see a door that kind of goes off to the side of the kitchen, and then if you were to walk through the hall, I feel that her kitchen and her living room were kind of like connected. But she was showing me like people coming in one way, going out that way. So I'm taking that as an indication that her home was always busy, whether it be her own children, grandchildren, or nieces and nephews. I do feel that she might have lived more on a farm, especially in her younger years, because she was showing me like these big gardens. So Carrie says, sounds like my grandma, Marion. Carrie, would you be able to take her height and the glasses? And she's so cute. Carrie says, I have a huge family. Would you understand, did your grandma kind of live on a farm with like, she had big gardens? So Amanda says, this sounds like my great grandma, but she passed at 93 or so. Okay. And Amanda says she had a house like this and a kitchen like this. So the age that she was showing me, I would have, like, she was older. I kind of put her between like 80s, 90s. So Amanda said we had a lot of family gatherings there too. So she's also, Amanda says the description sounds like her too. Amanda, did your grandmother, because how this lady is showing me is, those like old roasting pans that were like the black. Did your grandmother used to make like stuff like cabbage rolls? Because she was showing me, and it reminded me a lot of like when I was growing up, my mom made. Was that a yes to the cabbage rolls? That's how I recognized, because I saw like with the cabbage and then the rice and the filling, and then her rolling it and placing it. And Carrie says, I have a huge family. Okay, I'm just going to keep on describing what I'm seeing, and then both of you, if you can listen, because a lot of times I do get two loved ones in spirit. So I do feel she did have a huge family. Her house was like the heart of the family, just like how she was. Carrie says, yes, I can take everything. And Amanda says she made cabbage rolls. Okay. So
Yeah,
as
you.
everyone knows the theme, I always seem to get two at one.
Yeah,
Two-
that's definitely. So That's why
And
I keep on just because Amanda's saying the cabbage roll, everything matches and everything's also matching. So they
so
probably came through together. That's
I do feel I'm drawn to Amanda first, but Carrie, don't worry because I do know you have a huge family. But I do feel more drawn to Amanda at this moment. Um, Amanda, did your grandmother like? Okay, so Amanda said I can take everything to, especially with her hands. Um, she was not only the heart of your family, but she taught and passed down family traditions. Would your background be more in like I want to say almost like it's like Ukrainian, Polish around there. I know that it doesn't have to just be that cultural thing. Everyone can make cabbage rolls. The reason why I asked that is my adoptive parents were Ukrainian. So a lot of the things that your grandmother was showing me really reminded me of what I saw like growing up. She was also showing me like the cabbage rolls and then her pouring the tomato sauce. And I was seeing like her making it look like pierogies. Um, for her, she was an amazing listener. But as you talked, she would put you to work. So, oh, sorry. I couldn't. Uh, Mama Coke. Okay, here we go. Amanda says she was Polish, but my mom was adopted, so her adopted grandma was my great great grandma. Okay, so I knew I felt on the Ukraine, but then I kept on thinking more Polish. Okay. Would you understand her because she's showing me, and I do feel this was more of a memory of her making these dishes, and I see like younger people beside her, and she's teaching because to her, keeping on family traditions were very important. And she was just saying too, she goes, I want you to know that your home was in my heart, that in our family, all our heartbeats are connected to me. So Amanda says she was my great grandma adopted. She has her finger like this and she goes, what is this adopted? She goes, you were my family. You were my girl. She says that it doesn't matter whether you're born into a family through blood or not. It's what your heart feels. Would you understand her saying, Amanda, that out of a lot of her grandchildren, you're the one that would listen to her? So Amanda says, yes, she would definitely say that. She says that all her family she loved dearly. And I love the way, because would you understand, she keeps on like, it's like she's shaking her finger, but not in a like disciplined way. It's like her way of making a point. So Amanda says, yes, we were very close. So true. So Amanda, it was your mother that was adopted? Your great grandmother was saying that, I know that at times, because I feel that the child that was adopted into the family, I feel that it wasn't kept a secret. Like, yes, you were adopted. And she was making me feel that even though some family members might have treated that adopted child like a little bit different, like, oh, you're just the adopted child. But for her, it didn't matter. Blood or paper, she says, you were our family. And yes, petite and feisty, that's what I'm getting from her. She kind of reminds me of you remember Golden Girls, Sophia? That's how she reminds me of. She's just saying, don't forget your family traditions. And she says, it doesn't matter, paper or blood, you are family. Don't you forget that. She says, when I look at you, I just see my beautiful, beautiful girl. That's what she calls you. She says, I will always be there beside you. She's patting. Would you understand? She's showing me her sitting down and she's like patting as if to like sit beside me. So Amanda says, my mom felt loved, but felt different at times. Your great-grandmother was saying that she would try to explain. I feel that it was like grandma's therapy sessions was like she would have you come in and either be working, helping with food, or say out in her garden. She would take those moments to be like, what's going on? Like oh my goodness, she would know and notice everything. Even you could be smiling and being like, oh no, I'm fine. And she'd be like, come here. And she shows me her patting, and she patting like a spot next to her. And she'd be like, okay, well, tell me what's going on. She says that I just want you to know, and I want your mom to know, that for all the times if anyone made you feel like you weren't or lesser than, just know that in my heart, I accepted you as my family, because that's how it is. She says, no one can tell me any different. And it's so cute because she goes like this. She goes, I'd like to see them try. So Amanda says, we talked about everything when I was younger. She was your safe spot. It was like even the times where you wouldn't want to tell her something, she would get it out of you. She just had that knack. She just wants you to know that she does hear you. She says, keep cooking. She says, would you understand her saying an idle mind or idle hands can lead to an idle mind? I'm sorry, I'm trying to decipher which way that goes. I do feel what the nitty gritty of it is. She's saying, when you're feeling too overwhelmed with something. So Amanda says, I hope my mom is with her in heaven now. Of course, Amanda. And I just want you to know, yeah, they're together. Your mother, she was a shorter lady, a little bit taller than your grandma. Would she have been like, I want to say like mid-50s? She looked young for her age. So the lady that I'm seeing has her hair kind of comes just a little below the jawline. It's a darker brown. She's stepping forward, and I see your grandmother put her arm around her and give her a big kiss on the cheek. Would you be able to recognize this lady as your mother? '63, but looked younger. And would you understand like how she was showing me her hair kind of, it didn't quite touch her shoulders, but just an inch or two above, darker brown. She's really pretty. Um, I just, the message that I'm getting from her is, don't worry, sweetheart. She says, I didn't leave you, not completely. And when by that, she just means that even though physically she's no longer with you, that the spirit, her soul that made her her, is always with you. She says, I'd never leave my baby. Did your mom and I can't figure out if it was your mom or your grandma, but or both of them had like the smell that I'm getting from them. It smells like almost like baby powder with a hint of vanilla and like that delicate rose smell. And would you understand why I'm trying to decipher if it was from your grandmother or your mother? So Amanda just says, yes, it was shorter when she passed with darker. Okay. I'm just going to put it out there because one of them keeps on showing me a yellow little rubber ducky. I'm not too sure what the significance of this is. Okay, so Amanda says my great grandma's perfume. It's a very nice, delicate smell. I do feel that at times, do you often get like a whiff of it? I do feel that, especially in those moments when you are really, really down, all of a sudden it's like what I'm being made aware of is like you're smelling it. I do feel that that's her way of letting you know that she is with you. And Amanda says, we look alike. She, your mom, I love it. She's got a cute sense of humor. She goes, of course we look alike. She goes, you were in my belly. And she's like, your mom was just saying that you were one of her greatest achievements. She says that I am so proud of my girl. She says, don't let this grief hold you back from doing the things that you love. She says, I'll be there. You always make me proud. She says, I'm never very far away from you. And again, they're showing me this like little rubber yellow ducky. Oh, Amanda says she would always say I was her greatest gift. She goes, because it's true. I love it because when she said that, her eyes got big. She's like, it's true, of course. She says, you are my greatest gift. She says, being your mom was the greatest adventure. She says, baby, she says, I want you to know that I'm here. I'm there. She says, I don't want you to. She keeps on showing me like your eyes like full of tears. She keeps on putting her thumbs like this as if she's like wiping your tears. She says, I don't want you to think of me with tears in your eyes. She goes, think of me and smile. You have a gorgeous, gorgeous smile. She says, I want you to know I'm safe. You'll always be my baby. I want to thank her for coming through and thank your great grandmother. And thank you, Amanda, for being here. And Carrie, I'm going to address you because I do still have, and I do believe your grandmother because I recognize your uncle from before. And he's bringing her through to me and I keep hearing him, hold on, wait. Your grandmother, again, the lady that's stepping forward. Oh, so Carrie says, my grandma is one I have not heard from yet, and I miss her so much. She passed when I was 7. When the way she's presenting herself to me, So she is shorter, but a little bit more taller than Amanda's great grandmother. I would put her maybe about 5'2", 5'3". Same kind of hairstyles. And again, I see the glasses with like the chain. For her, the way I see her style of dress, she's more like jeans and like a sweatshirt is what she was showing me. Like for her, would you understand? Again, like I do feel that she did have arthritis because her hands looked a lot like Amanda's grandmother's hands. But would you understand that she had arthritis in her knees and kind of like lower back? I feel a lot of times, even though she tried to be. So Carrie says, yes, my uncle's mom. Okay. So as I saw your uncle and he was like kind of helping her, would you understand your grandma? So when she came forward the first time, but then I was more drawn to Amanda at the time, she was kind of as if she was like turning away. Like I get the personality from her is she was like almost kind of shy, but I keep hearing your uncle, he's like muttering, he's like, oh, you're not bothering. It's like she didn't always like come forward. I just keep on, the thing I can only put is that a lot of times like she would be more like quiet or silent because she didn't want to bother people. Does that make sense to you? It's kind of strange because I do feel that she had a very strong personality as well. Head of the household. She was showing me her sitting and okay, so Carrie says yes, she had a lot of arthritis. That's what I was really getting, kind of in my knees, my hands, and almost like my lower back. I feel that at one point, especially when she was older, she'd have to use a cane more. Her son, your uncle, was constantly always like helping her. He was showing me him holding her hand and by her elbow. Would you understand? She was showing me this scene. I feel it was more like to do with your childhood. I see like those milk carton crates and it's turned over and she has like this big metal barrel. And would you understand like her shelling peas? So by that, just like opening the pea pods up and kind of letting them fall. I see, and I want to say it's you as a child, young girl, longer brown hair. It's so cute because you know the old school My Little Ponies. I see you in, it looks like a bathing suit, and then I see you wearing little white shorts with it. So Carrie says yes, she wouldn't want to bother people, very soft spoken. That's what I was getting from her because even though she was here and it was like I feel that she wanted to connect, but she was kind of like, oh no, I don't want to be a bother. So Carrie says, but yes, definitely stronger when she raised her children, sweeter as a grandma. Would you understand her saying raising children, she says, is a privilege, but also it's hard. She goes, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. I do feel that she had a very good sense of humor. So Carrie says, yes, we loved peas. She had her own garden. Same with Amanda's grandmother. I see your grandmother having this like huge garden, and I just see like rows of like peas, and then there's carrots. And she was just saying that I wanted her to know that she says, I didn't just disappear. She goes, I've been here all her life. She says, I'm proud of the woman that she has become. I'm proud that she still carries on family traditions. She says that you don't give yourself enough credit for all the good things that you did. So Carrie said, I had my little pony bathing suit. It's an old school pony too, not like how they were supposed to look. I always bug my daughter about it when she was little. She was just showing me in that memory, not only her sitting there, and I see you would come and you would shell some piece and then go run off again. And I was seeing like a sprinkler, like, those old school sprinklers that kind of like go back and forth like this. Your grandmother was saying that you were such a helpful little girl, but would you understand her saying you reminded her of like a grasshopper, and then I keep hearing ants in the pants. It's funny. The only person I ever heard that is like my mom says, oh, you got ants in your pants. Because she said that you were just full of life and just everywhere, but a very helpful, good listener. She says you were just such a joy to watch grow. And she says, I need her to know that I've been watching her grow ever since. She wants you to know that she's no longer in pain. She says the arthritis is, she wiggles her fingers at me and she goes, she says, I don't feel pain. So Samantha says she sounds so sweet. She is. Both of these ladies that come through tonight were very sweet. Actually, everyone that's been coming through. And I love their messages, because if anyone noticed, a lot of the messages tonight were about trusting yourself and not being scared to trust your intuition. So Carrie says, yes, we had a sprinkler, and yes, I was a terror. I never sat still. Your grandmother is saying, she goes, I wouldn't say terror, but she calls you more free-spirited. She says, but that's how children should be. Okay, so back and forth. Your grandmother, she also would can vegetables. Like she's showing me her house, and then just off to the side, it had like a little tiny garage attached, but not really big enough for like a car. But I was seeing like makeshift shelves, and I was seeing rows upon rows of different canned. So I'm seeing like canned carrots and Carrie says she was the typical grandma. Yeah, canned carrots. I'm seeing like pickles, and also it looks like crab apples. Like, like when you can crab apples and you can make it like that sweet syrup. I recognize that right away, because that's something that my grandmother always did with her crab apples. Delicious. She was just wanting you to know that even though you're still very much on the go, and she says, don't forget to take time out for yourself and breathe. She says, I know life, she says, we're born and we think that we have all the time in the world, but we really don't know what time. But she says, you mustn't forget to just take time to relax. She wants you to know that, especially all the advocating that you have done for your brother and to bring awareness. She says that takes a strong woman and person in general. She says, I just need her to know that I'm so proud of her. So Carrie says, yes, both my grandparents canned and had gardens. She's very much she says that because that's how it should be, you know, living off fresh vegetables and everything. So Carrie says, I realized lately I need to go back to living that way. Yes, because sometimes, even though we're trying to do what we feel that needs to be done, like I'm how can I say this? It's like when you're so passionate about advocating for, like, say, your brother or other things, because your grandma is like it's funny, she shows me you, and then she goes like this, and it's like all these little U's everywhere. She says that you have your fingers in a lot of different pies, and I just feel that that means that you're just busy. And a lot of times we forget because we're so focused. So Carrie said, yes, there was an apple orchard next to her house. Oh, thank you for the validation. When we're so focused on trying to be everyone else's saving grace, we don't realize that we're burning ourselves out. So she's saying, slow down. She says, it's okay to take a break. You're not letting anyone down. And she says, and you're not going to be any help to anyone if you're overworked. She says, it's okay, breathe. I love you. And just know that your family here is so proud of everything that you have done in your life. Your brother is stepping forward as well. And I love his personality because he's like, yes, sis. He's like, learn to kick back, relax. And again, he's showing me like him laying there and he's giggling at it. I do feel that he feels that he's being so clever, but he wants you to know that he is so thankful and proud of you, because he says, no one will ever forget who I am. He says, and I'm so proud to have her as my sister. So I just want to thank your grandmother and your uncle and your brother for stepping forward tonight. And thank you, Carrie, for being here. And thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. It's always been my greatest pleasure and greatest honor to be doing these. I want to thank my son, Jonah, because he is the biggest help to me. So Carrie says, thank you so much again for this. I miss her so much, even though she passed away almost 40 years ago. And thank you, Carrie. One thing I forgot to say in the beginning is my son, Jonah, he is my reason why I started doing mediumship, and he's my driving force. And I am here to tell you that it's not a true goodbye. I'm here to help you say hello. I always show my son's picture, and I realize I didn't do that. But this is the boy or young man. He was 20 when he passed. He'll be 25 this December. But he's the one that helps bring your loved ones through. This is a picture of him when he was about, I want to say 17 or 18. We were on a walk and this butterfly just landed on his shoulder and literally stayed. We were just a few houses down from our home, but it stayed on his shoulder until we got to our house. Amanda says, what a beautiful gift you have. Thank you so much for connecting with my great grandma and my mom. I miss them both so much. Oh, you're welcome, Amanda. And thank you for being here tonight. Samantha says, thank you so much. So needed. Appreciate all of you. Oh, thank you, Samantha. Oh. Amanda says, what a beautiful gift. Sorry. Megan says, so crazy because your son looks so familiar to me. Oh, really? That's awesome. Actually, it's funny, Megan, because since he's passed, I have run into a few young men that look so much like him. It's I feel when cases like that happen, I'm actually glad that you brought that up. And I don't know, Mama Cole, if you ever had this. I call them walk-ins. That's just how the best way I can describe.
Yeah.
But sometimes our loved ones, they, and how my son showed it to me is that someone that might look familiar or close to them, my son shows me, it's like he'll stand in front of them. So when I look,
Oh,
I see
yeah.
him. I see
Yeah.
him. And honestly, just in those moments, trust that that is them saying hello. If we have time, I just wanted to quickly share this one quick story. The first time it happened to me and my spouse were at Superstore, and it was literally, my son passed in November. It was probably January. And, or maybe it was the first summer. Time when that happened is very blurred. But we were in Superstore grocery store, and I saw this boy. He looked just like my son, same hairstyle, same body build. He was even wearing a shirt that I knew my son had hanging in his closet. And then my son always used to go like this because his nose would get itchy. And I'm looking at this kid, and he did that, and everything in my mind and my body screamed that it was my son, but my mind kept on telling me no, no, no. I think that was my mind and my son's way of protecting me from doing something crazy like going to grab this kid. And then my spouse saw, and that was the most emotional time I've ever had in a store, because we were just trying not to be creepy, but we couldn't stop looking at this kid, and I had to excuse myself to go to the washroom. My spouse went to line up to pay for our groceries, and I came back, and he's standing there, and he's shaking, and tears are just coming down. And the boy and his family went outside, and we paid for our groceries, and we sat there, and we were just watching. And I know that sounds really, really weird. And since then, I've come across other and that's when, especially when I really need to see my son, that's one of his way to make himself known. So always trust in yourself and trust in the signs that you're receiving from your loved ones. Don't be discouraged. They hear you, and they do try to make themselves known to you. And just know that it is okay to be not okay. So Nicole says, you should be so proud of what you do. By doing these readings, you're helping those who are grieving so much. I can only imagine how proud your son must be to watch you help all who are lost. Oh, thank you, Nicole. And it's not just me, actually. My son is the one who brings your loved ones to me. Megan says, oh, I truly believe he is with you in every step. Also, I had that same thing happen, but it was my grandpa. And I felt like a stalker because I did the same thing. You know what? Thing at Walmart. Sorry, the messages. You know what, Megan? Trust in yourself, and just know that was most definitely your grandfather saying hello and letting you know that he is okay. And that's one thing before we go. I know my live went longer than usual, but that's one thing, and that none of us mediums from Psychic Insight will ever contact you first. There has been, copycats and scammers, and it's sad because a lot of them, they'll try to fear base and say that your loved one's in a dark place and to send money so they can lift the curse. I just want to say 100,000,000% your loved ones are in a safe place. They are around you. They are in a place of love and light, okay? If you are interested in ever booking with me, it's Sarah Redcrow -2. The dash 2 is when Hollis was trying to make mine, it would not work without the dash 2. And we decided that's because my son helps me. It's not just me here. So he was being recognized. And yes, I just want to say again, thank you everyone for joining me tonight.
And there's a code too. If you book for an hour with Sarah and you enter this code, you save $22 off an hour booking too. So thank you so much, Sarah. Absolutely beautiful. Everybody said thank you. You truly are an amazing person.
Thank you.
And that happens a lot. Yeah, all the scammers. Yeah. We get mimicked, like they copycat, and like they'll have our profile. I've had them. They do it so much. It's ridiculous. And we do our very best to keep them out. But just know that we would never message you. And I love, you're not in a dark place. There's no evil thing attached to you. Nothing like that.
No. And that's one thing, I don't know, I just felt led to say, but thank you, Mama Cole, for helping me tonight. Thank you, everyone, for showing up.
No problem.
And if anyone's had the pleasure of getting a reading tonight, if you would be ever so kind to leave me a review, I would love it. It makes my heart happy. Oh, thank you, Megan. Megan said amazing reading tonight.
Did a great
job. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Yeah, please, in an energy exchange, it's really great to just leave her a review. And it helps us too as mediums. It really does help us. It makes us feel much better.
Yes,
it does. Thank you so much for everything. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you so very much. I gotta find my little. Hold on. I have just been slow tonight. All right, there we go. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much.
Are you seeking guidance on your spiritual journey? Need help with a vexing problem? Missing a loved one and looking for answers? Look no further than Psychic Insights, a small trusted psychic service offering mediums, psychics, and spiritual coaching. This service is managed by Hollis Taylor, a gifted psychic medium, astrologer, and a compassionate coach. We are dedicated to helping you navigate your spiritual awakening. At Psychic Insights, we provide medium readings and psychic insight to help you plan for tomorrow and make choices for today. Find the support you need, compassionate grief coaching, and astrological insights to help you spiritually grow and transform. Our professional services include well-managed schedules, recorded sessions, and reliable psychic mediums ready to facilitate your transformational experience. Discover more at psychicinsights.life.